So presenting today, we've got Gary, who you can see on screen from Learning Disability England, and Mark Brooks, who you can also see on screen there from Dimensions. Both of those have been involved with the Leaders List since it started 5 years ago. So I'm going to hand over to Mark now, who will be presenting on a history of the Leaders List.
I'd like to welcome you all today. So we first started the Learning Disability and Autism List 5 years ago. For all the time learning for all the time Learning Disability England and Vogue have been our partners for the last 5 years. We started the list to share stories of people with learning disabilities and autism people. We want to show the world that we are doing brilliantly and important things too. Next slide, please. So since then, we have celebrated 150 leaders. These are the people and groups we have been taking a lead in their lives. So the winners in categories are advocacy, policy and media, local communities, sports, arts and entertainment, and work and education. We know everybody deserves to be celebrated. This is why anybody with a learning disability and or autism can enter or to be nominated. And everyone can get a certificate to celebrate. For those who win, we share their stories nationally. This includes our website, social media, and with the newspapers, magazines, and other websites. Some of our leaders have been in The Guardian, The Independent, and on Channel 5 News. Their stories have seen by thousands of people. We are also inviting winners to join in our Spotlight event. We have also invited winners to join in on special online celebration event where their stories are shared with the audience. We also send winners a special celebration pack and trophy. So we've even had some celebration ambassadors, including BBC Two presenter Ken Bruce, actor and advocate Ian Broadstone, and CBBC actor presenter George Webster. I hope you are starting to think about entry and nominations for the Learning Disability and Autism Leaders List 2022. Remember to send in your questions using the instructions at the bottom of the slide. Now we will hear from one of our leaders, James Walker. He is one of our local community leaders from 2019. So welcome.
Hi, everybody. As you can see, I am not James. Unfortunately, he's unwell, so he can't join us today. But I'll share a little bit of information about him. So James was an advocacy policy and the media leader back in 2019. And since then, he's been involved in lots of Dimensions campaigns. He was a Leaders List judge. He's become one of our spokespeople, so he's been published in various news and media outlets. And he's also an advocate for our hate crime campaign, I'm with Sam. This means that he's recorded his experiences of hate crime, which we're going to be using in some new national training that we're producing for the police force. James is also one of our spokespeople and advocates for the Love Your Vote campaign. He's very active in voting and politics. He's used our resources and he's going to be part of a new campaign that we're launching in the new year. So unfortunately he can't join us, but we will be publishing a video from him as soon as he's fit and well. So Gary, you're up next presenting on why we run the Leaders List.
Right. We think more people with learning disabilities and autistic people should be in the spotlight. We don't think there are enough people like us in magazines and newspapers, on the TV and radio, or making important decisions. We think more people with learning disabilities and autistic people should be involved in how the country is run, and we deserve more opportunities and equality. Next slide, please. We know that Dimensions, Learning Disability England, and VODG have a strong voice. We talk to lots of people and organisations with people we support and our members. And we want to be able to give more people the opportunity to talk to those groups too. We also want people to know that what they are doing is important and should be celebrated. So we created the leaders list to put the spotlight on people all across the country who are taking a lead in their lives. We want to show the country and everybody in it that people with all different learning disabilities and autistic people are part of their communities. We want to show that we're creative and hardworking, and that we have important things to say and do. We want everybody to feel valued and know that they are important. Someone has decided to get involved in more of our campaigns. Some winners comment on topics in the news, and some winners come back to be judges for the leaders list. So the Learning Disability and Autism Leaders List isn't just a fun celebration of people's achievement. It is important opportunity for people to be represented, and it is an opportunity for people to campaign and comment on important topics. The Learning Disability and Autism Leaders List is all about people, you and me, taking a lead in our lives. Now, you know all about the Leaders List and why we run it. Thank you for listening. Remember to send your questions using the instructions at the bottom of the slide. Next, we're going to talk about how you can enter and nominate people.
Thank you, Gary and Mark. I'm just going to take over now and I'm going to run you through the nomination form and the entry form that we have online. So you can nominate people or enter yourself using our online entry form, where there's a plain text version and an easy read version, so you can choose which one's most accessible for you. On our website, you'll be able to download a list of questions so you can start preparing your answers now, and we will be sharing a recording of this presentation so you can look back at it and prepare too. If this entry option isn't accessible for you, please do get in touch and we'll work on you in a way that is accessible for you. So when you enter or nominate, we'll ask you to give us some information. Everything that you tell us is protected under GDPR. This means that it's protected by law and we won't share it with anybody who doesn't need to know this information. If you're a winner, we won't publish anything about you until you've provided us with consent to do so. And we will only use your contact details to update you about your entry, ask for more information about your entry if we feel that there's something missing, and to send you your certificates. So if you have a learning disability and you are or autistic, you can enter yourself. You can also nominate people and anybody can nominate people. There's no limit on the number of nominations you can make, and you can enter yourself and nominate lots of friends too. Everybody's entry and nomination is judged on their own merit. It means that you'll be judged fairly, and we understand that everybody has different achievements and success. Everybody's achievements and successes are important and deserve to be celebrated. And all of our judges have been leaders before. So all of them have a learning disability and or are autistic, and they understand what it's like to have entered and be waiting to see what happens next. On the form, we were going to ask you some details about yourself or the people that you are nominating, including name, age, hometown, who we can contact, and how we can contact yourselves or the person that you would like contacting on your behalf. We'll also ask you to choose a category for your entry or nomination, but don't worry if you aren't sure if you've picked the right one. We'll make sure that your entry is in the best category to give you the best chance of winning, and we do this during the shortlisting process. So there's 4 categories to choose from, which Mark has already mentioned. There's advocacy, policy, and the media. This is for people who are helping to make things more fair and equal for themselves or other people. If you're a self-advocate like Gary and Mark, interested in politics like James, or speak out about important issues, it could be the right category for you. You might campaign locally or nationally, and you might advocate for yourselves, some other people, or lots of other people. It's all important and all deserves to be celebrated. The next category is local communities. Now, this is for people who are involved in their local community. If you use things in your village, town, or city, or you know the people who live there, it could be the right category for you. You might be a volunteer, part of a local group, help with local events, or be working to make the area a better place. There's lots of things you can do to be part of your local community, and we want to celebrate that with you. Third category is sports, arts and entertainment. Now this is for people who are athletic or creative in any way. If you're an athlete, part of a sports team, an artist, crafter, actor, singer, dancer, writer, photographer, videographer, musician, or anything else that you can think of that's creative, it might be the right category for you. You might want to share your talent publicly, just to the people who care for you, or just keep it for yourself. As long as you enjoy expressing yourself, we want to hear about it. And finally, work and education. This is the category for people who are employed or studying. If you work with other people as part of your organisation, or if you're self-employed, or if you're learning new things, this could be the right category for you. You don't have to work as part of a big company, but you might, and you might be studying for a qualification or just purely for interest. We want to hear all about that too. So when you've chosen your category, it is time to start telling us your story. This can seem quite daunting, but we hope it's as accessible and fun as possible for you. So we will ask you to tell us things about what you've achieved. So this is where you can really brag about what you or the person you're nominating has done. Tell us all about your brilliant successes and what you've done to achieve them. We also ask about the challenges that you've overcome. This is important so we can understand how important your achievements are to you and your journey to getting to them. Things that you've learned along the way, things that you've overcome, or even things that you're still overcoming. Everybody's journey is in a different place. We'll also ask how you feel about what you've done. Are you proud, excited, motivated, ready to do even more things, ready to take a well-earned break? Share your feelings and we can get to know you as a person as well as what your achievements mean to you. And we also ask what things people around you have said about what you've done. So are they proud of you? Which I'm sure they are. Have you made a difference in their lives? Taking a lead in your own life will always have an impact on other people. And it's important that we understand this as well. By understanding what other people say and feel about you, it gives us a really good insight into who you are as a person. And chances are they'll share something that you wouldn't share about yourself. You do also have the option to share some photos, videos and documents with us. Now, we understand that not everybody wants to write their story. They might not find that accessible. So if you would rather answer those questions in a video or in a presentation, then you're absolutely welcome to do so. And we also understand that lots of people have videos, photos, documents, resources and things that they're doing as part of their work that they might want us and the judges to see. So do remember that if it's not an accessible way for you, then you can get in touch and we can help with you. In the past, we've had Zoom calls with people that we've recorded where we've talked about these questions and our judges have used that. It also means that you can show us the brilliant work that you've been doing in lots of different ways rather than just some words on a screen. Next, we're going to ask you if you would like us to tell a bit about yourself. Oh, that's a mouthful. Next, we will ask if you would like to tell us a bit about yourself. This is so that the judges can get to know you as a person and understand what your achievements mean to you. So you can put anything in this box. You can talk about other things you've been doing, talk about your life in general, talk about people around you. Anything that you'd like to share with us that helps our judges understand who you are is really beneficial. And there's also a part of the form that you can use to tell us about your learning disability, neurodiversity, disability, or any other information to help us understand you. You don't have to tell us anything that you don't want to, only share information that you feel is relevant to your entry and your story. And we won't share anything without your permission. So now you've completed the form and it's time to submit your entry and nominations. When you've submitted it, we will start to create your personalised certificate and a social media graphic that you can use to celebrate and share with people. We'll email this to you using the contact that you provided earlier on in the form. Don't worry if you don't receive it straight away. We'll be working in the background to make sure that it gets done. And we'll also use this contact information to keep you updated about your entry. So we'll be letting you know if you've made it as a finalist and as a winner, etc. We understand this is a friendly competition, but we also want to make sure that we can celebrate as many people as possible. So we do ask all entrants and nominators to tell as many people about it as they can. Share it, share your achievements, ask that they celebrate their own achievements too. The more people who enter and get nominated, the more we can show why representation matters. And don't worry if you don't win this time around. You're welcome to enter with each new year. And in fact, we encourage it. We love seeing the same names come over year and year. So thank you for taking that time to listen to me. I hope you're feeling as excited as we are. Remember that you to send your questions using the instructions at the bottom of the slide. Questions will close after the next section, so there's not much time left to send them in to us, and we'll take a short break to get them all ready before we put them towards our panel, which includes myself, Gary, and some others too. So now I'm going to hand over to Dylan. Dylan is a sports arts and entertainment leader, and he won last year, and he's going to come to talk about his experience and what it meant to him. Unfortunately, his camera is not working, but we do have a photo of him there for you to have a look at, and you can listen to him now.
Thank you. So I felt really proud to receive this award. I always like to get my story across to people and help raise awareness about autism and disabilities. I believe that anything is possible when you put your mind to it, and it can help you achieve what you want to achieve. I think more disabilities need to be talked about, and I think lots of disabilities are underrepresented. So I think it's a great way to keep learning about disabilities. People with disabilities deserve more opportunities, and lots of people have a strong story to tell, and everyone deserves to hear their story. I'm very thankful for receiving this award. I want to make a difference and to help change people's lives and to help spread kindness and positivity to many people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Dylan will be available at the end of the presentation to answer any questions. So if there's anything that you'd like to ask him directly, please do pop it in the Q&A box. We're going to take a bit of a short break now. So we'll take a 15-minute break. And then we'll move on to an interview with Joanna Grace, who is one of our leaders and spokespeople for the Leaders List 2. And then we'll be moving on to the Q&A session. So please do take some time just to digest what you said and pop some questions over to us, and we'll meet back again in 15 minutes. Thank you. Hiya, Jo, welcome.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second then.
That's okay. So if now Jo's joined us, we can crack on with the interview if that's all right, guys, and we'll get started again. Oh, I'm still...
Hang a minute, I'm just going to put you on a different screen.
No problem. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now so that you can see Jo, Mark and Gary a little bit better. And And Mark's going to kick off with the first few questions for you, Joe. So if you'd like to get started, and everyone can come back from the break.
Hi, Joe. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No worries. And I'd like to ask you 3 questions, if that's okay, just
Yeah.
around how you felt. So I'll start with the first question, if that's okay.
That's okay.
So, what did you win your Learning Disability and Autism Leader of the List for? Your award for?
I won in the category of advocacy, media and policy for my work as part of the team that developed the core and essential service standards for supporting people with profound and multiple learning disabilities.
Wow, that's a long mouthful.
It is, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So the next question is quite easy and fun. So how did you feel when you found out that you'd won?
I was very surprised, but I was really pleased because of what I won in regards to, because the document, that big mouthful that I just said,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound very exciting, but the team of us that put it together think it's really, really important. And quite often people with profound and multiple learning disabilities don't appear in things like this. And so I know that I'm not somebody with profound and multiple learning disabilities, but that it was that work that got recognised when I got that award was fantastic.
Yeah, no, great. Congratulations again, though, for all that hard work. So here's my last question. So you've also appeared, you've also done judging for the Learning Leaders List. So how was that for you? What was the experience like for you judging?
That was incredible, because you'll know that the people on the list are all, you know, extraordinary. The winners on the list have all, I don't mean me here, but the people that I was judging were all phenomenal, and they'd all done such interesting things. And of course, there's more people that don't get onto the list. And when I was first asked to be a judge, I thought, fantastic. And then I was sent all of these stories, and you read all these stories, and it's brilliant. You're like, oh, this person's done an amazing thing. This person's done a fantastic, this is so brilliant. You know, look at this. And then the horror of it hits you. I've got to choose which one of these stories is best.
Yeah.
I had to develop a system. I was trying to work out, you know, how many people had been impacted, or how how on earth do you choose? But people pity the judges, because people in my situation have to choose between all of those fantastic stories to pick the winners.
Yeah, no, I felt the same. Yeah, it was really, really hard. So yeah, I was in the same position as you. So, but thank you. I'm going to pass you on to Gary, who's going to ask you some questions also. So over to you, Gary.
Yes, and you nominated one of our brilliant leaders, Rosa. Why did you do that, and how did it feel?
Well, I did it because Rosa is ace, but also, again, back to what I said before, quite often there's not a space for people with profound and multiple learning disabilities on things like this. And so it's really fantastic that people with profound and multiple learning disabilities are recognised, and they're not just recognised in a tokenistic way. Rosa was recognised for her very genuine leadership in the work that she'd been doing, and she'd helped to make trips to the circus more inclusive for people with profound and multiple learning disabilities through her collaboration with Circus Star. And it was proper work for her. She had to do things that put her out of her comfort zone. She had to have new experiences, and she kind of trailblazed it all for the people who have followed on. And she really did lead. Like, if you think of a leadership as somebody standing at the front of a line with people following behind, there are lots of people now who have experienced the sensory story that Rosa helped to author, and have hopefully experienced a more inclusive time at the circus because of that.
Thank you. What else have you done with Dimensions since becoming a leader?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Sarah that one more than me. But I've helped out with the leaders list a few times. I was at an awards ceremony. I'd presented some awards. That was fantastic. And I think I've done a bit of training with Dimensions, but I'm not sure if that was prior to being a leader or after.
Jo has stepped up to the mark to be a spokesperson for many of our campaigns, and she's been absolutely brilliant at being hammered by us, say, Jo, they've got a media opportunity, can you talk to the press about the leaders list, and really championing, like you say, places on the leaders list for people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. That's such important representation, and Jo has been absolutely brilliant at making sure people out there hear about that side of the list too.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very kind way to say that I bug them all the time so that people with profound and multiple learning disabilities are there.
It seems, Jo, that Dimensions is very proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'd echo that.
Thank you.
Why do you feel the leaders list is so important?
I think it's really interesting the way the list recognises a really broad understanding of leadership. You know, I just gave the example of somebody standing at the front of a line because I was a primary school teacher. So I think of children playing follow my leader and copying the person at the front. And that's a really simple understanding of leadership. And you have people who lead big organizations and are the boss. And again, that's quite an obvious understanding of leadership. But one of the people who stands out in my mind from the time when I was a judge, and I'm really sorry, but I can't remember the gentleman's name off the top of my head. He was somebody who he loved singing, and he had got brave enough to sing a song in front of a group of people that he knew. You know, it wasn't he wasn't on a stage, he wasn't on television, he wasn't on the radio. He was at an event with friends and family and other people that he lived with and things like that, and he sang a song. But because the people at that event knew how much it took him, how brave he had to be, how much he'd overcome in order to stand up and do this thing that he loved, so many of them had looked at themselves in their own lives and thought, well, gosh, if he can do that, I can do, this other thing. And so the effect of that one person being brave and taking that opportunity just to sing in his own life had this ripple effect on the people around him and the staff that support him and the organization that he's a part of. And he sort of led in a, from the center out kind of way, rather than the front of a line, follow me sort of way. And this list recognizes leadership in all its formats.
It only breeds confidence, I suppose.
Yeah.
Thank
you for
Thank you, Gary and Mark, for asking those really important questions, and Jo for being so honest. I mean, they're right. We are so proud of you, as we are with all of our leaders. We're proud of them year on year on year. We're going to move on to the Q&A now. So I'm going to welcome my colleague, Tiff, who is our question master. And I know she's got a good list of questions to ask us. So if there's a question that pops up that anybody on our panel would like to answer, please do. And yeah, let's get cracking. I've tried to add the spotlight to as many of us as possible, but it's told me off now. So as people start talking, I will add the spotlight, because I realise there's Dylan and Lisa up at the top there that I can't add it. Actually, I'm going to take myself off because I don't deserve it.
I think you do. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so let's kick off with question 1. Does the person have to be supported? So the person that's nominated, do they have to be supported by Dimensions?
I'll kick off with this one saying no, they absolutely don't need to be supported by Dimensions. I'm sure Lisa can strike in with an answer to this question as well as our representative, one of our representatives from Learning Disability England. And Jo isn't supported by Dimensions. Rosa isn't supported by Dimensions of who she nominated.
Yeah, everyone who applies, they can apply in their own right with no support at all. They can be supported by a friend, a family member, a self-advocacy group that they belong to, whoever supports them, it doesn't matter. And if you need any help to apply, then you just need to get in touch, and one of us will find a way to help you through the application process.
Wonderful. Can I just have clarity on how to get in touch, please, Lisa?
Yeah, it's via the leaders list. Sarah, have you actually got the email address up on anything? I think we had a slide, didn't we, of contact details?
Yeah, so the email address is marketing@dimensions-uk.org. We'll soon be publishing the new web pages for the 2022 leaders list, and all contact details will be available on there, as well as on the entry form as well. If you click on the form and decide this isn't for me, there are details of how you can contact us through that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And this one might be for you too, Lisa, which is, why is it important for Learning Disability England to support the leaders list?
I think Gary will probably help me answer this one, but I think Learning Disability England was co-founded by Gary to make sure that people with learning disabilities have an equal voice and are seen as leaders and partners in everything to do with their lives, and actually that they're not just people who receive support, they're actually community leaders, community builders, and do amazing things and have gifts and talents that we all need to be celebrating and all need to be much more aware of. Gary, do you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, a lot of people have lots of gifts and a lot that they could actually give to the community they live in, the society. They are the ambassadors, and a lot of the young people are coming through. They're the new generation of people of learning disabilities and autism. And this, when you think of it, we never had anything like this 30 or 40 years ago. This is a real boost for people and up and coming people, and to recognize people that everyone has got something to give. You know, that's what, and we want to provide good foundation, good network for people and for our future generation.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo as well. It's really good that in the last 5 years we've got a rounded bunch of people with learning disability and autism right across the country who's won this. So I think it's really important.
And it goes beyond just recognizing them, because Dimensions are very active in getting recognition for them as well. So I know that when I was nominated, people looked for media opportunities for me, and I had a letter from my local MP congratulating me. So I didn't tell him I'd won, so obviously somebody's told him. But I imagine that sort of opportunity for press happens around all of the leaders, and so we're not just celebrating them and the achievements and the influence that they've had, we're helping other people to notice that if you're not taking leadership from people with learning disabilities and autism, you're missing out on really valuable insights.
Wonderful.
And we're not the forgotten ones.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, well, I love that amazingly rounded answer. So let's see, this one here is, I have already entered the leaders list and didn't win. Can I enter again?
We're all
Yes.
nodding.
Nodding.
Yeah, we all,
Absolutely.
we always, absolutely.
Yes,
You
I
can,
would encourage you to re-enter. 100% encourage you to enter again.
you can enter many times you like, you know, over a year after year after year. That's what
Absolutely. And we love to see names pop up, because the names where they didn't quite make the shortlist of finalists, or they didn't quite make the final winners, we remember those people, and we constantly kick ourselves and think we wish there was just that extra space for everybody. So please do enter. Hiya, Dylan. What do you want to say?
Like what I've learned is that it's great that people are nominated, but it doesn't matter if you get the award or not, because you're nominated.
Absolutely. We're proud of everybody who enters or is nominated. So everybody gets a certificate, regardless of how many times you enter, you will continue to get a certificate. And it has taken some of our leaders a couple of years of entering before they do reach the list.
And actually, I mean, one of the things that we do try and do is people send us, because people are naturally proud, people send us pictures of them holding their certificate up, and we share those with people's stories. It's not just about the winners, it's about everybody, because everybody who has been nominated, everybody who takes part has a story to tell that is really important for not just the learning disability and autistic community, but much wider than that. So yeah, please apply as many times as you want. Send us your pictures, tell us your stories, we'll share them. We love to do that.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And so can people nominate themselves or other people?
Yeah.
All of it.
All the above. Yeah. So you can nominate yourself. People can nominate you. So again, I would encourage that. People know someone who's done some great work, please nominate them. If you yourself feel a little bit around bragging, like I do sometimes, not nominate yourself. So please, please enter. If you think if you know that you've done some great work, please put yourself forward.
Okay, great. And
can I just add in there just quickly, Mark, I think you're so right. I think it's a very British thing to be shy.
Yeah.
And a very British thing to downplay the amazing things that you do.
Yeah.
Please don't be shy and do nominate yourself. You know,
we all tend to do that.
And what if an online form isn't accessible for someone? Is there another way?
And that's Sarah, you to answer.
Sorry, yes, we've just had a couple of questions come through on the Q&A, so I was just letting that person know that we will get to them. Yes, so the standard entry is the online forms. There's a plain text version and an easy read version, but we understand completely that that's not accessible for everybody. So like we mentioned before, if you do get in touch with us using the contact details on the website and the forms, we will work with you to find a way that works for you. So we aren't going to list lots of different ways to enter. We'll ask you what works well for you.
Not everybody likes forms.
No, it's funny that.
Okay, so the question that's come through just now, I think, is if we choose option 1, which is advocacy, policy and media, does this mean individuals will need to have social media?
No.
No. Am I right? Well, it depends what they've done around advocacy and the yes. I mean, I was young and new on media myself, so I'm not an expert at it. So, you know, as long as you've got a voice and you speak up for yourself and you speak up for others on any topic, then fine, lead with that.
Yeah, so what we tend to do when we're working with our winners is we ask them if they would like to be tagged on social media and if they do have accounts, so they've got the option yes or no. And we also ask for any other social media accounts, so perhaps an organisation that they work with. Quite often we will tag their the employers that they work for, or the support organisations, or the charity they've raised money for. So social media isn't necessary, but we leave it in leaders' hands as to how much they want to be recognised and tagged.
In the last 2.5 years, people are gradually using social media because of during the pandemic.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it's only gradually, and people want to work with more with each other now than before.
Wonderful, thank you. Did you want to add something, Joe? I think that your box just lit up.
I think that's because my computer pinged. I'm sorry about that. But I won in the category of advocacy, media and policy the year that I was entered onto the list. And that was for working on a document. So it wasn't anything. I do have a social media presence, but I didn't need to have one in order to be in that part of the list.
Mm.
And I don't believe, Dylan, you don't have a social media presence either, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do? Well, we've not connected with you then. I've just made myself look like a fool.
The next question is, do you operate all over the UK, or do we have to live in a certain borough to enter the leaders list?
All over the UK.
The answer is no. You can. We Dynamics is nationwide, and we've even got some services in Wales. So no. So you can enter right across the country. So if you live in Birmingham, that's fine. If you live in Wales, you can also. So please, it doesn't matter where you are in England. You can put your names forward, or put someone else's name forward.
Yeah, so it's England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're on mute.
Excluding the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands.
Okay, complicated
Only
now.
you would say that.
It has confused people before, because obviously Learning Disability England is a
Right.
partner.
Yeah,
But just because Learning Disability England is a partner does not mean that if you live in Scotland, Northern Ireland or Wales, you can't actually be nominated.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying. So what if the person has profound and multiple learning disability, can someone else nominate them?
Absolutely.
again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And please do.
yeah, please do.
The impact of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities and lives of those around them always has a leadership quality. And it's a lovely thing that you can recognise it on this list. And as a former judge, I want more and more people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. Please.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
We're all in agreement.
Each year we try to find creative ways to reach out to people with higher support needs and say, this is for you too. Please, if you need any help to apply, if you want to talk to someone or communicate with someone about how to do it, then just let us know. Yeah, please do.
In other words, nobody gets left behind.
And I think that answers the next question as well, which is, the person I want to nominate doesn't use words to communicate. Can I nominate them?
Yes.
Yes, same answer again.
Yeah, fantastic. Can we enter as a group and as individuals? I think that means multiple nominations.
Yeah.
In the past, we've had groups enter as a group. So Cardiff People First won as a group, but they also entered members of that group for their individual work as well as their collective work. It was very difficult then, because we had the decision to make of, do we shortlist them as a group or as individuals? And we decided to give more people recognition with them as a group rather than a couple of the individual members. So please do, and we do look at and see the links between the different applications to make sure that they get the best opportunity.
Yeah.
And I love how cheeky they were in doing that. It made me smile so much.
Or inspirational.
Yeah.
Well, it's to try to test you, you see. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
might find another corner and say, can we do this? And you have to
Absolutely, just go for it. Challenge me. I love it.
I really think this next question is raises a very interesting point. How can entries be judged fairly if people have different abilities?
I think that's a really good question. For me, as a judge, I saw them at face value, so there was no judgment throughout each application. I judged it on its merit. So I just don't think it's down to the person who's judging, and there's also help around if a person gets stuck.
I think judging is about the impact of what people have done. So actually you're not comparing the same things, you're comparing really different things, and it's about impact. The judges do get some guidance about how to be fair, and they do get some support around that. And Jo, I mean, and Gary, you've both been judges before as well. Have you got something to say about that?
I think the assumption would be that if you had lower support needs, you might be more able and so more likely to win or be able to do more. But that's not what I witnessed on the list of stories that I judged. The example that I gave earlier of that young man, he was somebody with very high support needs, but it was just his kind of self had been so brave in that moment that had been his leadership. And so it could be somebody's, resilience as they undergo hospital treatment that inspires others and creates leadership. It was very much, I was judging the leadershipness of them rather than their particular abilities. And it was an incredibly difficult task, but the difference in their abilities was not part of what was so hard about it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Follow that. I can't follow that, but it says that says it all.
Just hard.
It does.
Yeah.
We developed the questions on the form over a few years. So the questions changed year on year as we learnt through people entering and nominating. And that's why the questions on the form are all about the individual and how it made them feel, how it made people around them feel, and the challenges they've overcome. Only one of the questions is what have you done? The rest is all about the impact and how it feels, and the judging process as well. We do provide that guidance for the judges, but we don't give them any criteria to judge by. And we've done it in a way, and again, developed it over the years. And the way that it's judged now is on a ranking process. So judges put the stories in order rather than assigning them set amount of points and things, which can be very difficult. And that's how it was when Jo did it. I'm sure she found it very difficult.
It was very difficult.
Dylan's actually one of our judges this year. So we'll see what he says when he's had a chance to judge.
But I believe that it can only get better and improve the judging and all that. And as we've got more and more people coming through, especially if their language isn't English, that's another thing, minority ethnic groups. We want more people from minority ethnic groups to take part in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth adding that all of our judges are previous leaders themselves. So they all have learning disability and or autism themselves. They all understand what it's like to enter and to wait for that judgment and how it feels to win. So they've all got previous experience, and they can get support as well to judge. So we don't throw a bunch of information at them and say, good luck. They get support internally and externally.
Oh, I disagree with that bit.
You were treated different, Mark.
Get it thrown at you, Mark.
So the next one that's come in is, does Learning Disability England work for the government and help them with their work?
Ah,
Learning Disability England is a membership organisation. So basically it is people with learning disabilities who may or may not also be autistic, family members, friends, individual paid supporters and paid supporter organisations who all come together because we share the same values and beliefs. And we believe that if we work together, then actually we have a better chance of creating a great world for and with people with learning disabilities. We sometimes do some work with the government. That tends to be because our members have said it's really important. So we will campaign and we will try and get involved in making sure policy decisions take into account what our members have said. But no, we're not funded by the government. We're not part of the government. We're a charity and we're a membership organisation.
Exactly.
just like to say we're a very good friend of England, and I've worked for many years with Gary, so we've done some quite good work together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'd had to do some work with the government during the COVID period, and that's all that material on and making sure that it was accessible. We had to translate a lot of government documents into easy read.
Fantastic. Okay. Right. So, can my family come to the online event?
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. So every year, since COVID, we host an online celebration event where winners are awarded. Joe was very kindly the presenter one year. Mark and Gary, you were both presenters last year, if I remember right.
I keep on forgetting.
I got dressed up all glam.
You look fabulous, and we got so many compliments for all three of you through of how wonderful you were. So yes, friends and family are absolutely welcome to join the celebration event. We do invite other people as well, so people from across dimensions, Learning Disability England, and other people who we want to be inspired. And winners themselves get a VIP invite, so they get to join us before the event, meet our guest hosts and our presenters and things, have a little chat and meet each other beforehand, before going into this online celebration event, which we try and make as engaging and as interactive as a Zoom event can be. Very difficult, understandably, but we try.
That wasn't a tongue-in-cheek mark, was it? When
No.
it came to families.
No.
Okay. Right. Is there a limit to how many people I can nominate?
No.
No.
Nope.
No.
Just people who have learning disabilities and or are autistic. That's the only caveat. And we understand not everybody has an autism diagnosis, so you don't need a formal diagnosis either.
Great clarity. What happens if I enter and I want to make changes to my entry?
Oh,
Ooh.
you get in touch with us and we'll figure it out together, basically.
So
It's
that's
all
the marketing
people running.
one.
Yeah, it's all people running the background. There's no bots or anything like that. It's not an automated system. So any questions and queries you've got, just get in touch and we'll sort it out with you.
Wonderful. And what if I'd like to remain anonymous? What then?
We've had a couple of anonymous winners in the past. We do ask everybody to complete a consent form before they are officially announced as winners. But if there are particular questions around remaining anonymous, we absolutely support that. We understand that people can share their stories, but not their identities, and we want to respect that. And for example, in the past, we've had some winners who are happy for their story to be shared with the PR and on our website, but not across our social media channels. So we work with each individual winner and come up with a way that is most comfortable for them.
Wonderful. Sorry, Here we go. I want to nominate somebody who would like a certificate but doesn't want their story published. I guess this is, you've already answered this. Would
Yeah.
that be okay? Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a certificate. If there is a chance that they don't want that story to be published and they don't want to go down the anonymous route, just pop a note in the application and let us know.
Wonderful. And I think this is the last one, but it's split into two parts. So the first part is, do individuals still work with you after they have won an award?
Yes, so it's completely dependent on the leaders and how engaged they want to be. Some of our leaders have won and then thought, that's it, I'm perfectly happy with this, thank you. Whereas others like Joe and Dylan, James, who we met earlier, and a number of other leaders have got more involved in Dimensions work, Learning Disability England's work. If they aren't already a member of Learning Disability England, they've got the opportunity to become a member, as well as our wider campaigning work. So yeah, we do continue to work with individuals after they've won the award if they want to, and if they would like to stay engaged with us. We do try to continue getting media coverage. So say for International Women's Day, we do a nice big push of our female leader stories out there, or people who identify as female. It's all dependent on the leader. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to add to that.
I think Sarah and I often get contacted by different people across the media, different journalists who are working on a particular story. And if when they ask us about something specific, we often think of certain leaders who have done something around that, but we will always go to the leader first and we will talk to them off the record and find out what they are or aren't comfortable with before we ever let a journalist know there was a possibility of talking to them. So like Sarah said, it really is very much up to the individual leaders.
We refer to it in Dimensions as background lighting. So this is an opportunity for us to share your story across all of our channels in a way that suits you and that you would like.
Really get that. So that's great. The last part of the last question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
When do you need individuals to submit their applications?
Oh, well, on that note, I'm going to share our last slide.
That was easy, Sarah.
Oh, I've just pressed the wrong button. There we go. Smooth. So there we go. On the 1st of September, the forms for nominations and entries officially opens, and then it closes on Friday, the 30th of September. So there's a month there for you to enter. But like we say, you can start working on your applications now. You've got the questions and we'll be sending you a document with the questions in so you can start preparing your answers. Finalists are going to be notified mid-October, and that's when the stories will be sent over to our panel of judges, and then the winners will be notified in mid-November, and that's when we get the final results back from our judges. And then the leaders list will be published this year on Friday the 2nd of December. Every year we try and publish it on International Day of Disabled People, but that's on a Saturday this year, so it's going to be on Friday the 2nd instead. And the online celebration event will be on that Friday, the 2nd of December as well. And that's it for today's event. Thank you everybody who joined us, and thank you to all our wonderful speakers. We will be sharing a recording of this so you can go back and watch and flip back and forth between the bits that were most interesting to you. And if you do have any questions, pop onto our website, take a look at our social media channels, do get in touch, and we'll do all we can to support you through your application process. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.